Hey, this is Pat White, and this is part of my series of live recorded whiteboard challenges. So I'm going to take a look at a whiteboard challenge or a kind of a technical challenge that I've never seen before and try to solve it, at least attempt it, and try to talk it out as I'm doing so. So if you're a potential employer, this might give you an insight into my technical skills, and also for me it's just a great training because it's a great practice, because once I hit that record button, it puts a little bit of extra pressure on me to keep talking and to get as close to a solution as I can. So I'm going to go to codewars. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Longest palindrome. All right, so find the length of the longest substring in the given string, given S, that is the same in reverse. So as an example, if the input was I like race cars that go fast, the substring race car would be 7. If the length of the input string is 0, the return value would be 0. A1, B, because A is a palindrome of B. A, B, C, D, because they're all basically palindromes of each other. And ZZ, B, A, B, C, D. So ZZ would be a palindrome, but B, A, B would be a better palindrome, longer palindrome. Okay, so few things going on here. Obviously, we have to detect a palindrome. I think it's interesting that so a lot of times when you detect palindromes, if you were just going to take a string and say, is this a palindrome, you would look at the index 0 and index length, index dot length, or if 0 is I, you'd look at index I and in array index array dot length minus I, and that would look at these two and look at these two, and so that would not detect a palindrome. But in this, let's see, but we detect a palindrome even though we detect that palindrome. So how do you detect a palindrome? Like, what can I do as I'm looking through this that says, oh, hey, that's a palindrome? Let's see. So if I look at Z and then I go to a Z, then that's a palindrome. And then I go to a B. Man. So at that point, I'm saying, well, that's not a palindrome. But what I'm thinking of is, so what's the thing that remembers? So I go to B, because what if I went to B and then ZZ? Of course, then that whole thing would be a palindrome. So what is the thing that remembers? Trying to think. I think I know that there's a technique here that is basically, it's definitely an inner for loop here. I think whenever you're looking for like the longest substring, let's see. BA. Well, what if for every index we basically found the we tracked what the palindrome, whether it was a palindrome. So if I'm looking at Z, I go to ZZ and I say, is that a palindrome? Yes, and I say, and then I say that's a palindrome and a length of 2, and then I go ZB. Is that a palindrome? No. And I go ZZBA. Palindrome? No. And then keep doing this until eventually I say, you know what? The biggest palindrome was ZZ, and that was 2. And then I go to the next one, ZB. No. Although I guess if it's not, if you already have the longest palindrome here, if you already have the longest palindrome here, and then you start the next one, well, I guess you don't know whether it's a palindrome or not until you get to the end, technically, or at least you get like more than halfway. You can say like, well, there's only two letters left, so it's definitely not a palindrome. So that's one way you could kind of, quick exit out of that. So ZZ, and then the next, so eventually you would get to this, and that'd be a palindrome of 4, and then this would be a palindrome of 2. And so that's how you might end up with that solution. So, that's, I guess you might call that a brute force solution. Let's go. I think I'm going to go ahead and take that strategy. I think there is a kind of more there may be a more mathematical solution when it comes to substrings. I know that there's one problem at one point that was like to find the longest. Well, anyway, okay, let's just go ahead and try that solution. So what are we going to do here? Look at start at each index of given string. And so for each index, look at each index after that given. Look at each other index after I. Let's see if let's see. So I'm thinking at that point let's see, at this point you're basically is array at index I to array at index j a palindrome? If yes, save the length. So I'm kind of save the length in some way. I'm not 100% sure how I'm gonna do that unless Another question I always have to wonder is, am I going to have to split this into an array or not? Also, let's go ahead and I'm going to split this string into an array, and then after I select index I and index j, I'm going to slice the array at index slice the array at I to j, and test if it's a palindrome. I'm not sure how I could do it without the slice method, because I'm returning the length. And let's see. Well, I guess what is the length? The length would be if I is 0 and j is 1, then the length would be 1, or sorry, the length would be 2. So let me see. I equals 0, j equals 1, length equals 2. And if I equals, let's see, in the case of the ZZBAAB, the I would be 2, and j would be 3, 4, 5. J equals 5, and the length would be 4. So the length is j minus I plus 1. So, okay, so maybe we can do this without using slice, because I was thinking, how am I going to do this without somehow cutting it? So if it's a palindrome, save j minus I plus 1 to tracking variable, or what I really should say is create a tracking variable equals 0. Say if it is a palindrome, save j minus I plus 1 to tracking variable if it is greater than tracking variable. Right, because so the heart of this, okay, so now I think that's basically it. So now we, let's see. So now the key here is array at index I and array at index j a palindrome? So to array. Okay. So what is the logic there? We have our array at index I and we have our array at index I and index j. So is it a palindrome? I really don't want to do another. I'm wondering if we have to do another loop. Oh, okay. For let k equals I? We have j, we have I, and we have j. Okay. We know j is the last and I is the first. So for let k equals I, and I is less than j, I is less than j. So we're comparing index 2, index 2 to index 5. I is the next. I don't know. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so that's unfortunate. Basically, we want to set the default to let is palindrome equal false. Sorry, equals true. And then we will, it's easier, and then once everything checks out, if not everything checks out, then we'll say it is false. So if array, I feel like this is just all wrong, all messy. If array at index k is equal to array at index j, if it's not equal, then is palindrome equals false. Okay, so what are we doing here? Why am I doing this? So this is kind of where I feel like maybe you do have to slice it into a separate array, whether you do that manually or using the slice method. Because when you are checking if an array is a palindrome, you can use array.length minus I. But here, I'm not seeing the mechanism for, like, well, what if we used a while loop and then we incremented k and minus j? Not really, not literally. I mean, well, yeah, but we'll set other variables equal to k, equal to j. So as array at index, so let's see, we have array at index I and array at index j. We have we have I and j. So let's say while let k equals I, let jkl equal j, while, and so we are basically saying while k is greater than or equal to j. So if these were the same letter, they would be equal to, and this would return true, basically. So while k is greater than or equal to j, if array at index k does not equal array at index j, is palindrome equals false. So that's within the if statement. Outside of the if statement, we would say k plus plus j minus minus. Okay, and also what we have to be asking ourselves is this an array or is this a string? I'm going to try to keep it in string format. If I can, I want to keep it in string format, and I don't want to have to split it. I don't want to have to split it into an array. Okay, is palindrome equals false? And so when all of that is done, so this is all just within, this is for each letter, which is just awful. But if at the end of this is palindrome, at the end of it, if palindrome equals true, if is palindrome equals true, longest palindrome equals, what did we say? J minus I plus 1. Okay. All right. I think I'm ready to just go ahead and try coding this. Okay. Let me copy all these out of the function. I just hope this works. I'll accept it if it's not the best solution, but at this point I hope that it works. Hold on one second. I'm gonna play some music here, and I hope it doesn't play through the headphones, but we'll see. If it does, it does. Okay. My favorite, well, maybe I like this playlist on Spotify called Brain Food. It's kind of weird, but it's nice. Okay, longest palindrome. Let's do it. So first thing, let's get that tracker function, or let's get that tracker variable. Let longest equal 0. All right, now let's start. Let's see, start our loop. Let's see. I don't know about that. I don't know about splitting it. Create a tracking variable, start each index. Okay, so basically look at each index. Write a for loop to look at each letter. For let I equals 0, I is less than s dot length. I Question to myself. S.length. Could we stop I whenever it, could we stop I whenever it's, I is less than, no, I don't know. Okay, never mind. I want to find some ways to shorten this loop, but okay, let's just say, let's look at every letter. And then when we look at that letter, let's look at the next letter. So let J equals I plus 1. Wait. Yes, okay. And then J is less than S dot length. And whoops, what happened to my plus plus? And J plus plus. Okay, now we're in the thick of it. So at this point, I'm going to use my BAAB example. At this point, I equals array at index I equals, no, that's good to remember, I equals 2, J equals 5, array at index J, I equals B, and array, I keep using the array, string at index I equals B, and string at index J equals, well, it equals B. All right, we are in the thick of it. Now a while loop. While, let's check up here. So look at each index after I. Is array is I to J a palindrome? Okay, so the first thing we said is set a tracker variable to true. Okay, so let is palindrome equal true. Because why set it to true? Because it is easier to detect. If one thing doesn't work, then you know it's false. And so that way our loop can continue all the way through, and if it doesn't see anything wrong with it, then it's true. So and then we also said let k equal I, and let j L equal J. Let's see, I, J, K, L, all right. So while K is equal to or less than L. Did I say that the other way over here? K is greater than less than J. Well, that was obviously wrong. Okay, so K is less than or equal to L. Yes, okay. If S at index K equals, does not equal S at index J, then is palindrome equals false. Okay, so now I need to find where this loop, so it's at the end of our nested loop, for loop, where we will say if is palindrome equals true, return that information. Because here's where we have J, here's where we have our J and our I information. So where, let me make this bigger. So where does this loop end? For J, we want it at the end of that loop. While. Okay, so it's just that. Okay. If is palindrome equals true, did I misspell that? Is palindrome. Why is it not colored correctly? Okay. If is palindrome equals true, longest equals J minus J minus I plus 1. Okay, so here's the beginning of the function. Here's the end of our initial loop. Here's the end of our nested loop. So at the end of our entire loop, we'll say return longest. Why? I feel like is palindrome. Is it just me, or is that supposed to be like orange? Like all of our variables are some color. See? So why is palindrome not showing up there? Also, why is longest palindrome equals function? This is JavaScript, right? Longest. Oh, did I not? Let is palindrome. Yeah, so I declared it with let. I feel like this is gonna mess it up. Is palindrome equals true? I don't know why why is palindrome here? What if this was another variable? If k, well, all right, we'll just try it. Maybe it's something weird about the text editor, but okay. All right, now I think I've got it going here. I think this should work, at least with, obviously we have an n squared runtime, which isn't great, but let's, and even in the examples, they showed some pretty long strings. But let's at least try to walk through it a little bit and see if it's working, and also just try to catch typos. So here's our function, constant longest palindrome, takes in a string. Longest equals 0. Look at each letter. So I is gonna start at 0. It's gonna continue through the length. So I guess what I was thinking of is if the longest is at like 4. No, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so for I equals 0, I is going to continue through the length. We're going to look at each other letter in the string. And for let j equals I plus 1, so I is 1. So j starts out at 1 if I is 0. Although in our example, if a single character would equal would be its own palindrome. So I'll say j equals I. J is less than s dot length. Makes sense. J plus plus. Okay, is palindrome equals true? K equals I, L equals J, while K is less than or equal to J. Right. Wait, what? Yes, okay. So we're going up from I, down from J. And if these are the same thing, then this still would trigger. So if string at index K does not equal string at index L, is palindrome equals false. So here is the end of that. Here's the end of that. And so here's the end of our while loop. And so here is the end of our J loop. I'll call it a J loop. Makes sense. If is palindrome equals true, longest equals J minus I plus 1, J 5 minus 3 plus 1 equals 4. That sounds about right. That seems to be right. And then so this is the end of our J loop. That's the end of our if statement. Here's the end of our I loop, and then we return the longest. Okay, I'm not crazy about the solution, but I'm hoping that this at least works, at least on small samples. So let's see. Let's find out. I'm not happy how long it's taking right now. Well, okay. That's unfortunate. What I would like to know is, did I accidentally create an infinite loop? I'm gonna punch this into REPL. Because REPL will definitely tell me if I did an infinite loop. And if I did that, then that's fixable. If it's just taking too long, then I'm gonna have to look into it more to solve the problem. Longest palindrome. Just cracked my neck. I don't know if you could hear that. So at least the good thing is, if you're watching this and I don't get it right, at least then you know, like, hey, he's not BSing. Because I probably will share, I will upload this and I'll say attempted instead of solved. So what does, also didn't I change the name of that function? I hope that didn't mess it up. Longest palindrome. Also, are we supposed to console log or return? We'll see. Let's see. DZBAB. Potential infinite loop. Now, how did we get an infinite loop? Ah, well, that would do it, huh? While, where's our while? While K plus plus L minus minus. All right, let's see now. Really? While K is less than or equal to L. I feel like it's really easy to mess these things up. Oh, is palindrome is not defined. Is this thing going on again? Is this out of scope? Wait, what? Yeah, that's why it wasn't triggering. It's so hard to tell on the, is this better? Okay, because we're outside of the while loop, inside of the J loop, but okay. 1, that is not correct. That's unfortunate, again. Okay, you have to console log it. This is kind of where it stops being fun when you get to this point. But I do want to solve it. And it's only not fun if I'd never solve it. If I can solve it, then it becomes very rewarding. Okay, 1, 1, 1, 1. Longest is 1 every time. So why would that be? Why would that be? Well, okay. J, I'm wondering, J equals I. J is less than length. J plus plus. If is palindrome equals true, let K equal I, let L equals J. I hope this isn't messing up our actual i's and k's. I don't think, or i's and j's. I don't think it is. I'm not changing the value of I. If S at index K does not equal S at index L, this palindrome equals false. K plus plus, L minus minus. Hold the phone. I forgot to say, okay, what's the length? I forgot to evaluate the length. K plus plus, K minus minus. If palindrome is true, and J minus 1. Let's say that length equals J minus I plus 1. If is palindrome equals true and length is greater than longest, longest equals length. Okay, I think that, okay, I'm a little optimistic now, because I did not evaluate. I forgot that longest needs to only be set if it's the longest. Let's put that in there, tuck that in. Let's try it now. 4, 5, 1. Okay. What did I say? If you fix it, then it starts being fun again. Hello, are you a race car? Wait, what happened there? 7? Is that true? That's the problem. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, wow, that's cool. I'm being very impressed by palindrome words now. Let's try it now in our codewars editor. I will say this, although I'm not happy with the runtime of this code, I am glad that I didn't have to resort to using like splice or slice or whatever. Let's run it. Sample test. Come on. That's good. Boom. All right. All right. Let's attempt it. Nice. All right. Whew. Well, that's a relief. And I watched my little honor score jump up there, so that's very satisfying. All right. Well, if you watch this all the way through, thank you very much. Hopefully you keep checking in, and or feel free to check out my other whiteboarding challenges. All right, and I hope if you're watching this and you're an employer, you will consider hiring me. I'd probably love to. Well, I'm sure if you're seeing this, it's because I applied for a job for you. So I would love to join your team. Thank you. Take care.